Hello everybody, welcome to this week's Feeder Focus, your guide to the world of junior single-seater motorsport. I'm your new host, Katy Savage, and whilst we can't bring you F2 and F1 Academy from Jeddah as originally scheduled this weekend, we've got the next best thing as I'm joined by Gavin Guthrie to talk all things British F4. We also delve into Euroformula Open, transfers, and run down the other series that go racing this weekend. Here is your Feeder Focus. Welcome to the podcast, Gavin. As British F4 editor, you must be pretty excited for this series to be starting.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be great. I'll actually be there on Sunday as well, so looking forward to getting stuck into a new season.
Very nice. Let's start off by introducing our listeners to British F4. This is a pretty historic series in its 11th season. Can you give us an overview of 2026? How many races do we have coming up and how many drivers are competing?
Yeah, so this year we've got 10 rounds, 8 on the British Touring Car package, then 2 more at separate events at Silverstone and Zandvoort. Each round has 3 races with 30 races overall, and we've got, I think this is the most drivers ever signed up before the start of the season, so we've got 31 drivers already confirmed, and I'm sure we'll have more filter in and out throughout the year.
Wow. It's a big impressive lineup. And obviously we know this series is really important for drivers from the British Isles. We've had Lando Norris was the champion in 2015. We had Alex Dunne in 2022 and then Finn McLaughlin in 2025. Who do you think could follow in their footsteps?
I think there are a few good candidates this year. I think the go-to that a lot of people have in their minds already is Dries van Langendonk, the 15-year-old McLaren junior. Absolutely stormed away to the Win Series Championship. I think he took 9 out of 15 wins. So, and then 3 more podiums as well, just in case the 9 wins weren't enough. But I wouldn't be surprised to also see our second-year driver, Tommy Harfield, who's driving with Chris Dittman Racing. He really came good towards the end of the year. He was probably my surprise standout of the season. Took their first wins in series. And there's also other drivers like Kit Bolofsky, who won F4 Saudi. And I'm sure there will be others who crop out throughout the year as sort of our new surprise contenders for the season.
And so what about drivers that might be less on our radar, the rookies that could really impress this year? Is there anyone that you're sort of keeping an eye on?
There were quite a few people that stood out. One of which I think through getting ready for the season and looking through all the potential drivers was Lewis Rowell, one of the JHR drivers. He did a couple rounds in Spanish F4 and GB4 last year, but really sort of got rolling at the start of this year or the end of last year with the Saudi F4 Championship. Only did 2 rounds, so 4 races, but in that time he took 2 wins and another podium. So he's got some good wheel behind him. I think he could be a standout. And again, I'm sure there are many others who'll sort of poke their head out throughout the year.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch. I'm also keen to see how Alfie Slater gets on. Obviously, the little brother of Freddie Slater, who won the 2025 FRECA Championship, and he's had a good start to F3. So it's always interesting to see if the racing gene runs in the family. Someone else I'm really keen to follow is Swiss Red Bull Academy driver Chiara Batig, who made her single-seater debut at the end of last year in F4 Saudi, and then was also in Formula Winter Series earlier this year, in which she scored a second-place podium. Do you think she's someone to look out for? And are there any other women on the grid that you'll be following?
Yeah, I think she's definitely got a good chance to really get some good results in. Obviously, for one, she's a fully fledged Red Bull Academy driver. So, it's clear that team have really got themselves behind her and they really think she can get the results. Obviously, she had a podium in Winter Series as well. And with High Tech as well, a really experienced team, there's definitely potential there for her to pull out the results. And I think she's definitely one to watch. Obviously, just this morning as we're recording, there was the announcement of Ella Lloyd returning to the series for a 3rd season, albeit only for 3 races. But I think she had a really strong debut season back in 2024, and obviously she's done some quite impressive things over in F1 Academy as well. I'm sure she'll be focusing on that and trying to get the best out of her season there. But obviously that will transfer across. She's got the experience, and rode in the other sort of standout team in the series. But also, there's also Daniela Sutton, who's a BRDC Rising Star as of last year. It's done a couple of years in Fiesta Juniors, and I think she's sort of made steady progress on her way up through there, and I'm sure throughout the year we'll see her progress further as well.
Nice. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how Ella Lloyd gets on, because I think it's interesting having somebody that's come back over multiple seasons and to see how F1 Academy has sort of shaped her experience. And then there's also been sort of rumours about Alba Larson, so I don't know if she's someone that's gonna show up at some point later in the year. But yeah, this also brings me on to sort of the team title. You've mentioned Roden and High Tech. Do you really think it's just between them this year?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's sort of the last few years. It's always been something of a two-horse race. I mean, but it's always incredibly tight between those two. They always last year it was only a point and a half separating the pair. So they've always got some of the strongest drivers in the fields. Obviously this year with Dries and others, and Al Azari over at High Tech. I think they'll be the ones typically to watch. But again, no team, any team can see some sort of real success in the series. Last year, Tommy Harfield with Chris Dittman Racing, who usually finish sort of in the lower end of the standings in the team side of things, he was fourth in the championship. Heath and Jeff Hall Argenti sort of upper middle of the pack, around third or fourth from what I remember. He was fifth, so there's nothing stopping any driver from sort of getting the results in with any team, and for that matter, any team to sort of fight at the top end for the team's championship as well.
Yeah, a point and a half separating them is pretty phenomenal. So that'll be interesting to see who comes out on top this year for Roden and High Tech. And you can catch all of British F4 on ITV this year as well, which is a first. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, so in the last few years, I think one of the biggest complaints with the series so far has been it's been a bit harder to watch British F4 than a lot of other of the major F4 series like Italian and Spanish. So we've always had ITV broadcasting the Sunday racing, so races 2 and 3, as part of the British Touring Car package. But and last year we got those same 2 races available on YouTube for people watching outside of the UK. But now finally, race 1 will now be broadcast on YouTube for everyone. So we'll now finally have all 3 races broadcast every weekend. It's a lot easier than in previous seasons, so it means we should hopefully get even more people involved in, I'd say, one of the best racing series around right now.
Nice. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's becoming so much more accessible, and obviously, the more people that watch it, the more people get encouraged into the sport, which is what we like to see. Moving away from the UK and onto the next rung of the feeder series ladder at Formula Regional level, we also have Euroformula Open starting at the Algarve International Circuit in Portugal this weekend. And here to tell us more is series commentator George Morgan.
The Euroformula Open Championship is back for its 13th season this weekend, fresh after a blockbuster finale at Monza last season that witnessed Timo Kaharczyk secure BVM Racing's first driver's title. The first round is set to be staged at Portimao, as it has been for the last 3 campaigns. It marks Chapter 1 on an 8-round calendar, followed by Spa, Misano, Hungaroring, Paul Ricard, Hockenheim, Monza and Barcelona returning as the season finale. In terms of the lineups, returning Motorpark team driver Diego Della Torre would show immense promise, hitting the heights in pre-season winter testing by going fastest. His teammate Everett Stack, also bidding for championship success, returns after clinching the rookie driver's title last season. For him, though, winning the title would mean that he would be the first driver to take a rookie championship and then the Euroformula Open driver's title the following year. A full campaign awaits Enzo Yer, who after a 2-round stint at the end of last season with a best finish of 4th at Monza, will be looking to utilise his experience across the calendar. The remaining Motorpark drivers include EFO debutants Victor Dobrozanski, Lorenzo Castillo and Jan Koller. Elsewhere, BVM, in hope of realising similar results from last season, recruit a familiar face in Alessandro Famolaro, who appeared in the final 3 rounds of the championship in the previous campaign, whilst also harbouring stints in FRECA and FIA Formula 3 over the last few years. The Italian outfit also secured the services of the youngest driver on the grid in Javier Herrera from Monterrey in Mexico, fresh from his strong run in F4 Central European Zone, finishing third in the series and champion rookie. The Euroformula Open also welcomes French team Neri Autosport for their maiden campaign, with Aaron Ferrazzano stepping into the Dallara 324. A multi-time karting national champion finished second in Ultimate Cup in his maiden season in single-seaters. It holds all the promise of a fascinating season.
Gavin, any drivers you have your eye on in Euroformula Open this weekend?
Yeah, it's not a series I'm as familiar with as some others, but I think one of the guys I'll be having a look out for this weekend is probably Javier Herrera. He was the third place driver overall in F4 CZ last year. So I'm sure we'll see how he makes that step up, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Enzo Yeh as well. He competed a little bit at the end of the last season, so I'll be interested to see how he gets on this year. Now on to transfers this week, and podcast producer Cliona Sheerin with the rundown.
Thanks, Katie. Starting with a few drivers making the move away from single-seaters, and Andre Juna joined Motorsport in the Ligier European Series. The Romanian driver competed in the opening round of Italian F4 last season. Jaroslav Vasalejo also makes the switch from single-seaters to join AF Corsa for the 2026 GT Open season after 2 years in FREC. Britain's Liam McNeely, who most recently competed in the Donington round of GB3 last season after his USF 2000 campaign was halted while he was leading the standings due to visa issues, and he has now made the move to Porsche Super Cup with Umbra Racing. Finally, Liam Skeets joins Vincenzo Sosprini Racing in the Pro-Am class for the 2026 Lamborghini Supertrofia Asia Championship. The 20-year-old competed in the final round of FR Oceania last winter and achieved one podium finish. In GB3, Hitech have announced that Noah Lyle will not be competing with the team as previously confirmed due to personal reasons. His replacement will be announced in due course ahead of the championship's opening round next weekend. To the Formula Regional European Championship, where the reigning Italian F4 champion Keen Nakamura Berta moves up the single-seater ladder to FREC, with the Williams Academy driver continuing his partnership with Prema. In Italian F4, PHM Racing confirmed their lineup for the 2026 season. Oscar Rapetto, who competed in the final round of the championship last year, will take a full-time seat with the German outfit this campaign. Canada's Alexander Chartier will race alongside the Italian, having competed in the opening round of Spanish F4 last weekend in Valencia. Roland Kuchlain rounds out PHM's 2026 squad, stepping up to single-seaters from karting. In British F4, as mentioned, Ella Lloyd will remain with Roden Motorsport this season. McLaren driver will compete in the championship alongside her F1 Academy campaign. In Brazilian F4, Franco Paolini joins Bassini Racing ahead of the season opener next month. To Chinese F4, where Yang Peng extended his contract with Venom Motorsport following a 12th place finish last campaign. He will be joined by rookie teammate Huang Qifeng. Meanwhile, Fred Green has joined the Elite X McLaren talent pathway ahead of his single-seater debut in GB4 with Elite Motorsport. The program aims to provide Elite Motorsport drivers with a clear and valuable pathway to progress their careers in GT racing. Finally, 2 more drivers joined the Aston Martin Racing Driver Academy in the form of DPK Racing karters Ava Lawrence and Roland Nagy. You can keep up to date with all the latest driver announcements by following us on X at @feeder_series and FS Americas.
Finally, a look towards the rest of the on-track action you can enjoy this weekend. We have Chinese F4 starting this weekend with the first race taking place at Shanghai International Circuit, and USF Juniors rounds 4, 5 and 6 taking place in Carolina Motorsports Park in South Carolina. As we mentioned at the top of the show, we were supposed to be covering F2 and F1 Academy action in Jeddah this coming weekend, but that round, along with action from Sakhir, was of course cancelled last month. However, it's now been confirmed that F2 will be joining F1 Academy in having its replacement rounds in Miami and Montreal, 2 new venues to the series. We're still awaiting confirmation on plans to host additional F3 races, so stay tuned to the Feeder Series podcast and our social channels. And we've also got a special driver interview coming up with Keen Nakamura Berta soon, who will be answering your questions on the podcast. If you've got a question you'd like to submit, feel free to head to our Instagram page @FeederSeriesNet or follow the link in the description below. But that has been your Feeder Focus for this week. A huge thank you to my guest, Gavin Guthrie, for joining me, and you can catch Gavin's debrief of British F4 and Marco Albertini's on Euroformula Open on Race Recap with Thomas Graves on Monday. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and leave us a review if you like what you hear. It helps us get our show out there. I've been Katy Savage. This has been your Feeder Focus, brought to you by the Feeder Series podcast. Take care and goodbye.